Live from the internet, it's the Narrative After Show, bringing you the entire week in review. With Rachel Bitticoffer, Eric Garland, and here's your host, Zed Chalet.
Sometimes it's a miracle that we get on the air. Tonight is one of those nights, but we're here. We made it. This week, my computers have been, I could show you my desk, but it would be a nightmare for you to see because I have no keyboard. I'm working with a mouse. My keyboard's over there. It's going to be that kind of show. Hi, Eric Garland. How are you doing?
I'm good. My amplifier setup, I haven't got the stereo between the tube amp and the solid state amp. It's a mess over here too.
Okay, good. I'm glad everyone's feeling as delighted as we are with technology tonight. We have got a good show tonight because we're going to talk all hell King Elon. It seems that even though some of us predicted the Elon Musk deal may be dead in time of trying to buy Twitter, that he may still have a second, maybe a third life. Who knows what it is. He's still trying, in other words. And we're going to show you how he's trying to buy Twitter. And it's not pretty because it looks like he might buy Twitter, but we'll also explain to you why that is a terrible, terrible thing. A really, really awful, bad, not good idea for him to buy Twitter. Because some of his partners, a little bit, how can I say this? Not as pro free speech as he pretends to be. So, that's coming up. Plus, we'll talk a little bit about SCOTUS and why it's still so corrupt, particularly because, remember that thing? Remember that's that moment Anthony Kennedy, the former Chief Justice, was I don't know what he was doing with the White House, but he was there at the White House, and Donald Trump walks him away.
They're not supposed to be at the White House is the other thing. They're supposed to be complete, total separation between the executive branch and the judicial branch. They're not supposed to have those meetings. So like Clarence Thomas was never supposed to be in his office taking a promo shot. It was kind of their early way of telling us that they were full of shit.
So do you remember that moment, though? That weird moment? Trump is walking away with Kennedy towards his office, and he says something to him, and Kennedy's visibly shocked. No one really knows what was said. However, it was soon afterwards that Kennedy sort of retired early. We will explain exactly what happened, and also explain the connections between the Kennedy spawn, the son of Kennedy, who was also Donald Trump's most trusted banker at Deutsche Bank for a long period of time, because nothing looks less corrupt than that. So that is all coming up, and I think it's going to be really interesting because the two stories actually collide, believe it or not. But you've got some news for us, and by the way, we're still waiting for Carrie Kukerl to join us tonight, so she's going to be stepping in because Rachel Bitticoffer is in Arizona, saving Arizona for all of us. One day that'll be a movie starring Rachel, but until that time, she's still doing her work down there. So hi, Rachel, we miss you. Come back soon. And I'm just looking at what, okay, and Carrie will join us in a minute. But you have some breaking news. You have some big breaking news about someone's big yacht.
There is a yacht that has been seized in Italy. I'm looking at a letter here from Daniele Franco, Ministero dell'Economia e delle Finanze. That's the Ministry of Economy and Finance. And it looks to be an Italian government website, and they appear to have arrested. You can arrest people, and you can also arrest boats. A lot of people don't know that. If you haven't paid some tax or fee or whatever, there's actually an international, almost an Interpol for boats. They can be shipping containers. They can be yachts. You can arrest boats. They apparently have arrested the Scheherazade, which is reportedly Putin's yacht.
Wow.
In Italy.
Wow.
Now, May 9th is Russian Victory Day.
Yes.
But it looks like they may be starting it a little bit early.
I mean, it is kind of, that would be pretty, if you had a yacht, I don't have a yacht, but if I had a yacht, I would be very disappointed if it was taken away from me just before the weekend. It would be annoying because I might want to go, cruising around on my yacht. And I'm sure that Mr. Putin must be upset that his yacht, the Scheherazade, how do you say that? Scheherazade. Well, yeah. I'm sure he'll be disappointed. Is it like one of these fancy ones? Is it like the $300 million type yacht, $300 million type yacht, or is it like a lesser yacht? Probably not. It's Vladimir Putin. Of course, it's the best.
It's a rowboat.
Yeah.
It's a canoe. Come on now. It's Putin.
I wish I had a photo of this thing, but I don't. Well, good. I'm glad they're taking his yacht. And now that money, according to the US government, can be used to help fund the rebuilding of Ukraine. And boy, do they need it after the mess he's made over there. We're still looking at the horrifying standoff at Mariupol. And, he's hoping to get that done by the 9th, which is, when is the 9th? The 9th is on Monday. So explain it to everyone, because, this is the Russian day of victory over the Germans, right? This is when they like to say that they beat fascism, even though we like to say we beat fascism too. They like to say they beat fascism on this particular day, because they did. They helped beat Stalin. Helped beat Stalin, I guess.
They killed some other.
Sorry, helped kill Hitler. Yeah, Hitler. Sorry.
Yeah.
So
and we blew up Japan and Germany, and then we put Germany and Japan back on their feet to be competitors of ours in the capitalist market. And Stalin just murdered a bunch of other fascists that they had first partnered with. So there are different forms of victory between us and them.
But Monday is May 9th, and this is a big day of celebration for Putin as he tries to make himself a hero. Yearly, he has these giant parades, and he's hoping that something will happen in Mariupol. He's hoping that he'll be able to at least declare victory at Mariupol. It doesn't look like that's even going to happen, as the Ukrainians are still holed up in that steel plant and not really looking like they're going to let go. But, it'll be upsetting to him that he's lost his yacht. It'll be upsetting to him that he doesn't have his yacht as well. And he's got his finger literally on the trigger of some nukes right now. So, we don't want to upset him too much.
Well, hold on. First of all, there's no president that has a button to push. There's operational plans in countries that to aim these things, to unleash these technologies, and you need military for that. How many generals has he lost? 12 or something like that?
Yes.
I mean,
a lot.
So
we've done that to him, apparently, according to the New York Times. Not true, but just the way the New York Times is phrasing it. Yes, he's not looking good. But the nuclear thing could be a nuclear detonation of some sort could solve his problems. And I know that doesn't sound like
not for long. I mean, no. I suppose if he launched something, it might kill some of his enemies, but it wouldn't stop his problems. As we have better sensor technology than he does. By the way, if you were watching like the last 4 years and you saw like the number of times the Russians tried to launch like satellites. These are things that, when you're watching, most people watch news in the morning, or they have their favorite website to scan Twitter during the day, or maybe they have an evening program. They watch Rachel Maddow. Of course, not all the information out there is on that. And if you saw like the percentage of times that stuff just freaking blew up on the pad in Russia for every year of Trump's presidency, it was like a 93% kablooey. I mean, I'm not saying like failed launch, like it got up and they were testing something that went bad. I'm saying stuff was like 5, 4.
Yeah, and they like to blow things up on the way up.
Their main, there was no up. It was just, it just blew up on the pad. And then you had like their main like bioweapons factory blew up in September 2019.
It's almost like the Elon Musk record of sending up rockets. He's not that good. Which is my segue into bringing in Carrie Cookrell. Hi, Carrie. How are you?
Hi, I'm well. How are you?
I am good. It's good to have you back here. You're a little off center there on the screen. I don't know if you can see. Yeah, there you go. Yeah, there you go. Carrie's here because Rachel isn't here, but he's also here. Carrie is because she's got a lot of information about our main story tonight, which is all about Elon Musk. So do you, Eric, by the way. I have a lot of information on this. And we have been, talking about Elon Musk and the danger of him buying Twitter for a good while here. We've been talking about Elon Musk previously with Carrie. You've been on the show with me on The Secret Life of Elon Musk, where we unveiled some interesting things about PayPal, one of Elon's earlier companies, and how it might have been a shady money launderer. But tonight we want to talk a little bit about the resuscitation of his deal. Because we all went to, everyone was sort of poo-pooing the deal towards the end of last week, but somehow he seemed to it seems resurrected to some extent, particularly because it now has some Saudi money attached to it. And this is the way it happened with one of the key investors in Twitter right now. It's Prince Tawil. I don't know if you know how you say his name. Do you know it's Prince Tawil? Is that right?
I think it's Talweed or something. I'm not sure.
Talweed, okay. Prince Talweed is an investor in Twitter currently, right? And he is originally, when Elon Musk announced his offer to buy Twitter for $44 billion, the prince was not that enchanted. In fact, he said this exact thing about the original deal, which I can't read because it's not in front of me right now. Can you read this, any of you? Are you able to read this, Eric? Or
He doesn't believe the proposed offer comes close to the intrinsic value.
right,
Other things
Twitter.
I can't see.
Yeah, it's basically says that he thought it needed more money. So Elon Musk responds at the bottom there by saying that
Interesting. Go ahead, Eric.
I feel like it's third grade and I just got somebody else from reading it. I can't do it.
He says, interesting, just two questions, if I may. How much of Twitter does the kingdom own directly or indirectly? And what are the kingdom's views on journalistic freedom of speech? Those are good questions. I actually have those questions too for the prince here and anyone else in Saudi Arabia. So
they'll lop your head off if they don't like it. Look,
they don't really believe in speech.
On journalistic freedom of speech. We go live to Jamal Khashoggi. Oh wait,
yes,
I think we know.
Yeah,
what their views on free speech are.
They don't really believe in speech. Full stop. Never mind free speech. So
yeah, well, and it's kind of complex because like one of the things we obviously learn over time, just watching the world play out, is that countries and politicians, that's not a monolith. So there will be factions within it, and there may be some people that are more pro-US, more pro-free speech than other ones. For Mr. Talweed, who is a large investor in Twitter, if I understand correctly, he was someone who was put in the Ritz by Mr. Bonesaw.
Yeah. So, he had a little enforced stay at the Ritz when when MBS was doing his corruption roundup. Yeah.
So not sure how that plays into things. He seems favorable to Bill Gates because he let quote unquote Bill Gates. Oh, hold on. I have happy dogs.
Is it dog? Yay. Because Hammy's not here tonight. So Hammy is Rachel's dogs, but we don't have that.
Oh, yeah, we got little Fifi and Lucy back here. So
okay, great. We got replacement pets too. I need to get one of these days. So you were just saying, what were you saying about Mr. Talweed?
I don't know all the details because I should follow these people more, but I don't. But I'm pretty sure that the investor in Twitter is someone who, quote unquote, let Bill Gates invest in or like buy back equity of his in the Four Seasons.
Yes, I think so. Yes, that's right. He did recently. That's correct.
So, but I mean, as far as the big picture, I would expect he doesn't like Bonesaw very much, given that he was.
But that was last week. That was last week. He didn't like Bonesaw, and last week he does. Maybe he does like Bonesaw, but he didn't like the deal last week. But last night, there was a change of heart by Mr. Talweed. He says now, it's great to connect with you, my new friend Elon Musk. Handshake, handshake. I believe you'll be an excellent leader for Twitter to propel and maximize its great potential. At Kingdom KHC, and I look forward to roll out $1.9 billion in the new Twitter and join you in this exciting journey. No comments on that from Elon Musk about the belief in free speech or journalistic freedom of speech anymore. None of those comments seem to rise up now from Mr. Musk. So that's interesting that he's changed his mind.
Yeah, they both seem to like emoji now, so
yeah.
Not sure what all happened there.
Yeah. So Eric, you seem to be leaning back there. What do you think is the? What do you think of this?
Oh, I think it's great. I mean, how come nobody in the finance press or in the media who covered, because the media, there's nothing that media people love to talk about more than the media and them and all that. How come no one's mentioning that this platform that journalists all use around the world is going to be bought by people that murder journalists by hacking them into chunks and then burning them up in tandoori ovens? How is nobody mentioning this?
That is an issue. That is an issue. You're mentioning it. Thank God you're mentioning it. But it's, There's no,
You know,
just to be underline what you're saying, there's no freedom of speech in Saudi Arabia at all. Like there's no
if
freedom of
they
press.
just beheaded him, that would, or if they beheaded him, or
Yeah.
they put him to sleep before they actually cut him into chunks, or if they didn't record it, or there's a number of things that would have rendered that story less memorable. But nevertheless, I remember the time they killed the guy from the Washington Post. Did the Washington Post do a story about how Twitter might be bought by the people that killed the guy who worked for the Washington Post? Anyone?
Well,
No.
he was already an owner of some Twitter shares. Just to be clear, he already is a current owner of some Twitter shares, and has been for a while. He's also, believe it or not, which I find kind of stunning, he's also was and may still be an owner of Fox News, one of the key investors in Fox News. So if you can, Mr. Talweed over here. So
I think they bailed out, and I think they
bail that out, or they leave that? I was going to check on that, but nevertheless, his history of investments in terms of journalistic integrity and freedom of speech in the United States not very impressive, except maybe on the bottom line, but not for journalists. I mean, just think of all the remember there was a spy scandal inside Twitter where they had arrested a couple of Saudis as Twitter employees, and they were mining the database and mining people's private DMs so they could identify dissidents in Saudi Arabia. This is the same country. This is the same country. Yeah. Apparently they can still own Twitter after that. So there you go. So they're in partnership with Elon Musk. So that's going to be an interesting thing because, hey, I mean, sure, why not?
Well, the whole list is a bit, interesting. The whole list besides him.
Yes, it is really interesting. I was just going to go there. So he's raised another $7 billion, right? In the last, I guess it was something to do with the valuation of Tesla or something that he couldn't quite secure the deal the way he did. So last week he secured another $7 billion in financing from also very interesting people. So you were mentioning a couple of them. One of them is from Oracle. Do you want to tell everyone about Michael Ellison?
Well, it's Larry
Ellison.
Larry Ellison. I don't know which bullet points to start with, but I have three good ones. Number one, he's like buddies with Netanyahu, who founded Breitbart.
Mm-hmm. More than buddies with Netanyahu, who founded Breitbart.
Yeah, more than buddies. He offered
him a job,
board role.
Yeah.
Right. He offered him a board role at a company. I forget which company.
I think it was Oracle's board. I think he was going to get a job after Netanyahu was turfed out of office. After Biden came into office, he got an offer from the Oracle, and
from Oracle, the board role.
I think it was a board role.
And wasn't that while Ellison was supposed to be a prosecution witness for Netanyahu's criminal trial?
He is also a witness. Yeah, I think he still is a witness in the prosecution of that trial. So yeah, there's he's very involved with the Netanyahus and so you can see that we've got potentially the Saudis and the Bibi Netanyahu wing of the Israeli politics also supporting the purchase of Twitter. Eric?
Hey, was Larry Ellison?
It was directly the Oracle board, but go ahead, Eric.
If Larry hangs out with Bibi that much, is Larry aware of Bibi running interference for the Sinaloa cocaine cartel? Because that was the story of the week for me. I just want to know if the Oracle dudes knew about that.
He might know about that, right? I mean, he would do his due diligence before offering someone a job or testifying in front of an Israeli court about the guy. So, one would hope that he would. So that's just so there's those guys, but there's more than those guys. Who are the other people? There was also a company called Binance. Oh, you finished definitely with your third point about Mr. Oracle here.
Oh, yeah. So my third point about Mr. Oracle, besides he's close buddies with Bibi Netanyahu, he's supposed to be a prosecution witness and offered him a board seat at Oracle. And the third point being that, like, when I spoke out about misconduct on the on Elon's board, which included SpaceX and Tesla, I believe
you were witness to, right? I mean, you were witness to all of that.
Yeah, I mean, that was me, and there's a lot of other people involved, but I try to be fair about these things and not. I wasn't extorting anyone. I was trying to voice legitimate concerns about situations and behaviors that are pretty serious, and I wasn't asking people for money or anything like that. I just want to make sure it didn't happen again. And long story short, I believe Musk's 420 tweet where he wanted to privatize Twitter, and his 420 tweet where he needed all this private money to take Twitter or Tesla private was like 2 days after I spoke to his attorney.
Oh, so you were speaking out about his misconduct on his board and wanting to do. I don't want to put words in your mouth here. What was the misconduct?
I don't want to like go into all that detail today, but it wasn't good, and it obviously, like, I had concerns about the behavior of investors as well as founders in Silicon Valley, and blurred lines between them and politicians, and misconduct, which, if you put that all into a very nice bow, means like maybe, sexual intelligence operations.
Ah, okay. 2 days later,
one out of the market.
2 days later, he sends out a tweet saying, I think I'm going to take Tesla private now because, why not? And he's got the money the money was coming from Saudi Arabia. Interestingly enough. And so there's a thread here, obviously, that we need to keep looking at. But
and then when he didn't do anything for like a year, which I can understand why things can be tricky in that realm, and maybe sometimes people speak out and they don't have good intentions and things like that, but it was like a year, nothing was happening. There was like conclusive summaries on it, and Musk didn't do anything. And so it's one of the 3 reasons cited for why Musk was going to be removed as chairman of Tesla. And when they removed him, Ellison became the chairman.
Oh, so Mr. Oracle, is going to invest behind Twitter, was going to be the chairman of the company, or he was the chairman of the company.
He was the chairman of Tesla. Like, after I spoke out and Musk had to get replaced, they put Ellison in.
Interesting. So you got... I see what you're saying here. So it's a combination of the Saudis and Bibi and Oracle and Musk, and it's... Go ahead, Eric.
I got to know the timeline here. Had Jared Kushner created peace in the Middle East before that or after? Because I need the context of all this.
That was peace came after. It's still actually it's still elusive.
So this was on the road to peace. The Saudis the Saudis and Netanyahu's friends were they were starting a bro hug.
But this is why I try to be like extremely transparent with people, and also like I try to be objective with myself, so people can misbehave or have poor behavior, some of it more serious than other things. But that being said, I do also understand that people get targeted, and like blackmail networks, they target people that have affiliation with national security. So on the one hand, there's all that mess, and on the other hand, it's like, okay, well, Peter Diamandis was hosting Maxwell at his wonderful Ocean Sea events. You don't see a billion bots sharing Peter Diamandis photos with Maxwell or her virus friends. Like, you just see a billion photos of Musk in this Vanity Fair party that we don't know the context. So that's I just try to be balanced.
This is the context. There's a lot around Maxwell and Musk. We'll get to it a little later because we've got to get to Epstein. But before we do that, let's just finish this deal because it is an interesting group of people. We'll get back to exactly how they all connect because they do. But there's a company called Binance.
Oh, yeah.
It's a crypto company, I think, out of China, if I'm not mistaken, or something like that. It's a
crypto exchange.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Eric.
Would you like some car wash in your laundromat with your... It's a combination strip club, washing machine, restaurant.
Experience.
Digital music platform.
Get money out somehow, hopefully, if you're lucky. So they're excited about this. Apparently, the company, the CEO of Binance, Mr. Changpeng Zhao, told the Financial Times that his crypto exchange would offer Musk almost unconditional support for the takeover of Twitter after a rapid deal that left the parties little time to discuss details. In fact, it's more of a blank check, Zhao said, after committing $500 million to Musk's deal. So... Direct quote for the Financial Times. So apparently, No. So this is
Christmas price.
These guys are owning Twitter, people. If you're watching on Twitter, this is your
the
platform.
Dumbest timeline.
Yeah.
There's a guy from I'm sorry, my hair is like a mess, so I just keep like messing with it. But there's a guy who is from like Chinese state media, which is censored also.
Yeah.
And he constantly trolls Biden. Constantly trolls him. And he was from Stanford. I think he's from, I forget what program, probably some Joy Ito funded thing. And he's constantly trolling Biden and never has a good thing to say about the United States. But
China does not love the United States right now, but
No.
neither it's not reciprocal either. We don't love them either that much because, especially if they seem to be.
That man likes this deal.
Sorry.
That man likes this deal.
Oh, he does like this deal. Oh, he does.
Yeah.
The troll, Biden's troll from China, likes this deal. I'm sure he likes the deal. As we pointed out last time on the show, Mr. Musk has a lot of interest in China. Sells a lot of cars in China and also requires their batteries and all sorts of other things. So, yeah.
Hey guys, where do you think the headquarters is for Binance? There's two. Do you want to guess?
The Cayman Islands and Shanghai.
One.
Cayman Islands is one.
Is what Cayman Islands and the Seychelles.
Oh, perfect. So you could run.
They'll be
both.
opening a third branch on the Isle of Jersey. Within the week, or Guernsey.
Oh wow! So they're money launderers, basically. I don't want to say that definitively, but that looks like to me.
It's a car wash inside of a strip club inside of a laundromat.
Are you telling me this is a Chinese cash skating rink?
Yeah, that's it. You got it in one. So
okay, great.
So we've covered Oracle, the Saudis, Binance. What about Brookfield? Toronto-based company owned basically by the Qataris.
Qatar.
Yeah,
Qatar.
Yeah, they're Qatar, and Sequoia Capital, which I believe is like
China.
a Chinese.
China.
Yeah, it's China, right? Basically,
you missed one.
What did I miss?
You missed Draper Fisher Jurvetson, which put in $100 million, and that's the firm I spoke out about.
Oh, okay. Well, there you go. I'm sorry, it's not in my. I didn't quite cut the Financial Times here.
Okay. Yeah.
Boy, do I have interesting things about that. So tell us about Mr. This gets kind of complicated, but
it gets complicated.
Why don't you tell us about? I don't even know where to go here.
And by the way, guess where the Draper Fisher Jurvetson fund is that was paying Newt Gingrich when he was running for president? Guess where that's registered?
I don't know.
The Cayman
Islands. I want to go to the Cayman Islands. Seems like a nice place to go. Lots of rich people go there. So the Tim Draper. I don't have a slide for him because I'm a little disappointed I don't have a slide for him. But why don't you tell us a little bit about who Tim Draper is, because he's an important dude.
Where do I start?
Just with his origins, like a brief, like one line, like as brief as you can be about him, because I know we could talk endlessly as we have about him, but. If he is just a summary of who you think he is.
I'll give the top level summary.
Yeah.
Point one, his daddy Bill is like highly connected globally in matters of politics and technology, as well as war reconstruction. That's point one. And his daddy, I say daddy because I feel, he may be spoiled. His daddy also founded Silicon Valley. He was the founder of Silicon Valley. He's called like a father of Silicon Valley. Okay. He kind of established Sand Hill Road. None of this, which I knew anything about whatsoever before I met anyone in this circle. Like I knew nothing, but apparently he, like obviously now I'm aware Sand Hill Road was a big deal, and his father like established a venture capital, in Silicon Valley. So that's one thing. The other thing about Tim Draper is that I'm going to give you the two most fun points. He's very into Bitcoin and cryptocurrency.
Mm-hmm. Shocking.
Yeah. Point three.
Yeah.
He has some very interesting characters that work for him. I would point out one named Frank Creer, who was working with Masha Drakova,
I know Masha.
who was Masha Jakova, who was Putin's kiss and like was Epstein's publicist. And for whatever reason, like Tim has a lot of ladies around him that were Epstein publicists, including Rachel Wolfson, whose work got deleted from I think it was Forbes, because she wrote this glowing piece about Jeffrey Epstein and Bitcoin without mentioning that he was a convicted pedophile.
Wow. Here's what Tim Draper said about the deal in the New York Times just yesterday, I think. Relying on his small crew and hewing to his own thinking have enabled Mr. Musk to call the shots and conduct himself with few restraints. He's in the New York Times Objective, turning him into a Howard Hughes-like figure of the modern age, even as his seat-of-the-pants methods often create bedlam. Mr. Musk works in a way that only the, quote, most confident leaders do, said Tim Draper, a venture capitalist who backed Mr. Musk's electric automaker, Tesla, and his rocket company SpaceX. Think JFK, George Washington, and Ronald Reagan, all in one. Wow, guy likes him.
Okay.
So New York Times, very objective journalism, continue to be brilliant stuff, guys. Don't mention the Saudis. Don't mention Oracle and Bibi Netanyahu. But just talk about George Washington, JFK, and Ronald Reagan in one, and you've got.
Was that the New York Times?
Yeah, it's New York Times.
Yes.
So
oh my god.
Yeah, that's.
I mean, it's a shade. It was maybe a shade more objective than Maggie Haberman, but it's hard to tell.
Well, actually, I didn't even check. It might have been her. I don't think it was, but you know,
I mean, why didn't she put the link of Tim doing his like Astia Angel striptease for women venture capitalists, where he took off a piece of clothing for everyone he funded?
Oh,
I'm sorry. Could you run?
I wish I would have researched these things ahead of time, you know?
Yeah,
just say them slower for the audience, because I can
again.
get the horror just washes over me quickly, and I get it. But
there was
you got to slow it down for the folks at home. Okay, Draper Fisher Jurveson's one of the largest.
Google Tim Draper Astia Angels, and you'll find the lovely, the lovely video of him dedicated to Astia Angels, where he like does basically a strip down. And he takes something off for every women founder that he funds, but then he misses the last bit because, he didn't actually fund her.
Oh, that's so nice of him to not do that. Not fund her. I mean, whatever.
So this is
I don't know whatever was going on there. That's disgusting.
Yeah, I have no idea.
That is so gross. I can't believe it.
I'm curious why they didn't have more questions for him from the New York Times. Like,
no, they were too busy asking about how Elon Musk is a seat of the pants kind of guy. His most confident leaders.
Think of JFK, George Washington, and Ronald Reagan, but only in the way of mobster, slave owner, mobster. But in no other ways. Like none of them were going to go to the moon.
This article, when you read it, is insane. I mean, it's just like it takes everything that's bad about Elon Musk and glorifies it. I mean, I don't believe in business plans, he says. Yeah, no kidding. That's why you've tanked your companies almost all the time. Like, I mean, and they mysteriously get funded by people we don't know from foreign countries.
I also noticed that Tim Draper, when Elon Musk was not a fan of Bitcoin, that Tim Draper was sure to go out very quickly and chastise him about that and turn him around, because he will find that Bitcoin is the most green, choice for him. And then Elon turned around like.
I'm not surprised by any of this except the striptease is the first time I've heard that. That was really that's new for me. I've got such a surprise coming up for you because
and I was not.
I've got to do an ad, and I'm not going to do it right now because I have to do something here. But so we'll wait on the ad. I'm going to give you the big surprise now. So there's a guy named we mentioned Tim Draper. He's also part of this deal to buy Twitter. Yes, this thing you're watching us on right now probably is Twitter, and that probably will be owned by a consortium of countries that don't believe in free speech at all. And Tim Draper's friend, I would say maybe business partner, named Howard Morgan. Does that guy ring a bell to you?
Oh, yes. Howard Morgan, who also invested in Scott Borgerson's Cargo Metrics, which was Maxwell's secret husband.
Yes, sure. I remember that. Ghislaine Maxwell had a secret husband, not Jeffrey Epstein, Scott Borgerson, who ran this they were tracking shipments of cargo around the world, basically, and he was an investor there. But he's also, interestingly, an investor in Tesla as well, because as I found out, don't look at the right of the screen yet. We'll get there in a second. But Howard Morgan was the first vice chairman, or one of the early vice chairman of Tesla. If I'm not mistaken. Lucy's excited about this.
It's very serious.
Is that true? Did you know that's correct, right? Howard Morgan, Tesla, early, was a vice chair there, early investor, according to.
That is news to me, so I'm actually surprised.
Okay.
I was aware recently that his co-founder at Rentec had to give $8 billion back from the IRS recently.
Before we get to Rentec, because that's going to set a lot of things off here and everyone's things, I just want to make sure I've got this right. So let me look here. Dr. Howard Morgan, co-founder of First Round Capital, Renaissance Technology, the first investor in Uber, and a former chairman of Tesla.
What? He was a chairman of Tesla?
Co-founders of Qualcomm and a former chairman. Maybe not. Maybe they're saying that they invested in the DLA Piper, two co-founders. Let's read this carefully. Timothy C.
DLA
Draper.
Piper is a very old law firm, and it has the distinction. It was the very first entity to have to register for the Foreign Agents Registration Act in 1941.
Oh.
Even before TASS, the Soviet.
So this isn't correct, right?
I know where this is from. This is from. I know where this is from, and that referenced a former chairman of Tesla is probably Larry Ellison, and this company is called Neurovigil. It's a brain.
Yes, that's right. It's a Neurovigil. That's exactly where that's from. Okay, so he's connected to Musk in that. How is he connected to Musk? Is he directed through Draper? Really, he's not the vice chairman. He's referring to Ellison there.
Yeah, it's a very tight crew, it seems.
Okay,
so Ellison back in the mix there again.
Good. Probably. I'm glad I checked that.
I'm guessing that's Ellison.
I'm glad I checked that because, but let's move on to the other side of Mr. Morgan here, because everyone knows Rentec who watches our show, because Rentec is Robert and Rebecca Mercer's company. Now, Renaissance Technology is the hedge fund that, some people say, and I've got to be careful here. Certainly, my research has indicated that it's full of lots of Russian scientists and who manipulated maybe the markets. I don't know, but it has an extraordinary success rate as a hedge fund, more success than almost anybody else. And so they have that track record has caused a lot of interest. And of course, as you point out, Rebecca and Robert Mercer owed $8 billion to the IRS, which they just recently paid back because, just because, but also because they were the chief funders of the Trump campaign. So you go back to the people who funded Donald Trump and gave us all that lovely 4 years of presidency. Robert and Rebecca Mercer were there. They were also the owners of Breitbart and worked with Stephen Bannon. So, just to complete the circle of the kinds of people associated with this deal to buy Twitter. None of them give you the idea that we're going to be in any sort of free speech nirvana or anything like that. I mean, we're heading into either like a police state version of Twitter or like a casino version of Twitter, but nothing like it looks like right now. I think the
casino version is probably going to be. Yeah. That's interesting, given obviously that Bannon founded the Jerusalem office of Breitbart under Netanyahu. So.
Yeah, it's hard
you love banging on that, don't you?
I do.
But it's true. I mean,
aren't they anti-Semites? I thought they were anti-Semites. This is the
What
alt-right.
about the Nazis?
Apparently not. Apparently not.
Lucy!
Lucy's so excited. I get Lucy's excitement. I was shocked by all of this. You know what's interesting about Rentec? Let me just take a little bit more through here, Rentec, and because I just happened to found this today, and I thought, why not? Just Steve Bannon. You remember Steve Bannon? We just talked about him. Kellyanne Conway. He's number 2 at the Trump campaign. They were really
don't ever put Kellyanne on a slide again. That's going in the contract. No more.
I will get rid of her next time. But they are associated with Robert and Rebecca Mercer, of course, because Robert and Rebecca Mercer were the funders, and they placed these two people, Bannon and Kellyanne Conway, at the head of the Trump campaign. And again, we know that Robert and Rebecca Mercer are part of Rentec. They also have this really close association with. I'll put down the audio if you want to go and stay. And they also have this amazing association with the Deutsche Bank. So I didn't know that, but Robert and Rebecca Mercer's Rentec was basically operated on a Deutsche Bank platform, which is interesting.
Wait.
Yeah.
I have never heard that detail before. Run that back.
That Deutsche Bank
Rentec ran on a Deutsche Bank.
Yeah, my research. Yeah, basically that they used Deutsche Bank was the banker of Rentec is basically what it was. And just to make it even more interesting here, this Rebecca Mercer's husband at the time, I believe they're no longer married to each other, but at the time was this guy named Sylvain Morochnikov, who was the International Securities Exchange, and that's where he worked, but his specific role was to partner with the Moscow Exchange. So that's interesting because Deutsche Bank and the Kremlin have an interesting association with each other, and that you can see on the very right of the screen here. Russian President Vladimir Putin shakes hands with an ex-Deutsche Bank chief executive, Joseph Ackerman, and the head of Knauf Group, Niklaus Wilhelm Knauf. In 2010, Ackerman would go on to join the Russian-owned Bank of Cyprus, largely thought of as a money laundering operation for Russia. And then, of course, that's where Wilbur Ross also worked as vice chairman.
Hey.
So this is about as corrupt as you can possibly get. I mean, this does not, you don't get any more corrupt than this. This is about as dirty a bunch of people as you can. Imagine.
You left Hezbollah off. There's penny stock people. I mean, look, you had some more space there, Zev. You can do better.
But just to underline what I'm basically getting at here, there's a connection between Vladimir Putin and the purchase of Twitter. And it's not direct because, as we point out, that Mr. Morgan, as far as I'm aware, is not investing in Twitter, but his associates seem to be investing in Twitter. So
it sounds like the Russian-Israeli that.
It sounds like the Russian-Israeli mob, doesn't it? It does.
Yes,
I'm sorry,
it does.
but it does. And yeah. I don't know what else to say about that, except it's unfortunate if Twitter lands up in the hands of the Saudis, Larry Ellison of Oracle and Bibi Netanyahu's good friend, the Chinese Binance company, which does cryptocurrency, Mr. Draper, who you've mentioned, loves cryptocurrency too, and maybe also some people who are associated with Vladimir Putin and Deutsche Bank, because Deutsche Bank is another good story. We're going to get to that when we talk about SCOTUS a little later on. So, all right, that's. Oh, look! You see, I always put too much in the show. It's already 7:47. We never get stuff.
No, the world puts too much in front of us every 31 hours.
I know it's true.
It's not our fault.
It's true. It's crazy how much news there is. I was going to try and connect all of this to Anthony Kennedy's son, who worked for Deutsche Bank, because there's a big question mark about why Anthony Kennedy was never allowed on the Supreme Court. It was never stayed at the Supreme Court because Trump and his family pressured him to leave. And it turns out that Anthony Kennedy's son was the chief, one of the most loyal bankers to Donald Trump in Deutsche Bank. Just to complete a circle there. Just to complete a giant, big circle. I have all the details about that, but I might have to wait until next week sometime because it's a lot to take in. So, yeah. What do you think? What are the odds of us actually staying on Twitter once this takeover takes place? I don't know. I don't want to tempt anything, but it's like
Is CompuServe still open?
We better find maybe a backup home because boy, it looks a little shady.
Ham radio.
Ham radio, shortwave radio could be.
AM radio.
You pigeons? I don't know. I just think that maybe we should avoid this purchase. I think people just got a little noisy about it. Maybe that this thing won't happen. Maybe the idea that Elon Musk is somehow going to save Twitter, it's just not going to happen. It's just not going to happen.
So the language about the bots is positive, but the rest of it, I mean, I'm guessing it would just basically be like there's a war right now for whose digital currency is going to win.
Yeah.
Which mafia, which government, which whatever. There's a war on whose is going to win, and whoever buys Twitter will have a leg up on that.
So you think it's all about currency? It's all about crypto.
Where do you see the link there?
Well, because before what's his name, Jack Dorsey left, what was he doing? He was tying up Bitcoin to Twitter.
Bitcoin.
Mm-hmm. And so now he left.
Right, wasn't
and
he?
then which one will Musk pick? Ethereum.
He's involved with Dogecoin, isn't he?
And then he has Dogecoin, which to the Moon AMC, that's Rentec.
Oh, that's Rentec.
And
Interesting.
So Ethereum had a very weird indictment attached to one of its co-founders. Virgil Griffith is his name. He had a bit of an issue there. He got indicted for going to North Korea and helping train up the government there about how to evade sanctions, which is frowned upon, right? And they did a superseding indictment that involved a guy named Alexandre de Cao, who's a Spanish nobleman who is like did we talk about this? I mean, I forget, between heads of state laundering cocaine and this and that. I mean, I forget. I honestly forget what, but they indicted the number one Westerner who is like the middleman between the Kim regime in North Korea and the rest.
Oh, really?
And that superseding. So basically, a key player in the North Korean regime is a co-defendant with the founder of Ethereum, Virgil Griffith.
Oh, so there's a connection between the North Korean regime and Ethereum. Interesting.
Because they were using Griffiths was there to teach them some tips and tricks and some technical workarounds that would help them evade sanctions even more. And probably not a shock that the National Security Division indicted him, since he's an American citizen, and we frown on that.
So cryptocurrency is really bad for the world. Why is it not banned yet in the United States?
I don't think it's. I think the idea of digital money is not a horrible idea altogether. No. It's just like not great when the Russian-Israeli mafia is starting it.
Right.
So,
right. So maybe they could think of another way.
Yeah, find another way, or regulate it to some degree.
But right now, it seems that every time I look at the news, it's someone is stealing hundreds of millions of dollars out of the American economy through these cryptocurrencies. They're constantly going down. There's constantly scams happening. And where's that money going? I mean, it's disappearing. It's just taken out of the American economy forever.
Well, if you
was it ever American?
Was it?
Right, true.
Yeah, whose currency is being pushed out where?
But still, it's a lot of it is coming out of the American economy because we're such a rich country.
Yeah, but if you go ahead, Derek.
Oh, I was just thinking, so much of this is to avoid sanctions for sanctioned countries or sanctioned entities, and also to evade taxation. One of the biggest subtweets and best subtweets I've ever seen was from a little-known account. Y'all should sign up for IRSCI. That's the Internal Revenue Service Criminal Investigation Service. They are the ones who make their Treasury FinCEN, but not as cuddly.
Yeah.
If they, you do not want to see IRSCI attached to anything in your name, and they highlighted the activity of their office in The Hague, Netherlands, and they said there's a big connection between cryptocurrency and money laundering and tax evasion and The Hague, and that was the tweet.
Oh, wow.
It was like,
that's not a tweet you want to see if you're if you're in The Hague. That's interesting.
I mean, if you're running giant human trafficking networks and you're using crypto in order to grease those wheels, that would be considered a crime against humanity that might end up at you'd need both the trafficking and the finance to be prosecuted. You could
investigate that there, right? You could investigate that at The Hague. That would be interesting. You mentioned earlier, and I don't want to, but just finish. Sorry, Carrie, any last thoughts about crypto? I think we maybe cut you off there.
Well, we were talking about Vitalik Buterin and Ethereum, and I'll save you the hours that it would take to listen to the one episode of Vitalik Buterin on Lex Friedman's podcast, because it was very long, but I have a vested interest in listening. And some of the key points are, number one, that Ethereum and cryptocurrency allow fringe activities that maybe perhaps the government doesn't think are, he claims that are victimless crimes related to sex and drugs that are considered fringe, and that there are actual no victims of, that cryptocurrency facilitates. So he points that out. He points out that he's actually either the person or one of the people that funded the development of Dogecoin.
That was also Mark Cuban, wasn't it?
He pumps it. I don't know if he funded the development of it. He might have. But Vitalik said, like, I put in this amount of money to help develop this coin. And then when Elon pumped it, Vitalik took $1 billion out and sent it to India. And for a nonprofit. And then he explained that he also donated to other nonprofits, but they didn't come forward like this $1 billion one, so they may choose to come forward and talk about that. He also suggested there are multiple signatories on his wallet, but he did not disclose who the other signatories are.
Interesting. And Elon Musk likes to promote that Dogecoin quite a lot. So he was for a period of time. So, that gives you a sense of the kind of people involved in crypto and the kind of people involved in trying to buy Twitter, supposedly for free speech. One last picture here of Elon Musk at the White House talking to his good friend. There's Stephen Bannon. So he must know Stephen Bannon from before this particular meeting. And there's Donald Trump. Looks like that's an interesting pose Donald Trump has there. There's Stephen Miller. Just people you want to hang out with when you're interested in promoting free speech. And I don't know who the front there is, but there you go. So welcome to the new owners of Twitter, everybody. We ought to stop that. People ought to stop that. I don't know how we ought to stop it, but I'll just say we ought to stop that. It's not a good idea. It's just not a good idea. There's nothing we've said tonight that makes you feel great. I think Twitter is going to be amazing under the ownership of the Saudis, Deutsche Bank,
Larry Ellison.
Yeah, all those crowds. No.
I need to know if Binance is going to own this thing. I need to know, is this based in the Caymans or the Seychelles? Because I have my...
It's a blank check, Eric. It's a blank check. You can do whatever you want with
Look,
it, man. You can put
if we're going to merge this with casinos, then I think we should be able to bet on the accuracy of Louise Mensch tweets.
Oh my gosh! Oh, you went right
in
there.
Cryptocurrency. Let's do it.
You are naughty. Yep.
I haven't taken any shots yet. You notice it.
You've been very good today. You've been very good today. I still got to tell people about the Athletic Greens thing, and I don't have it in front of me. So I'm so late for the ad. I'm going to get. I can do it.
I'm going to do it. I don't take Athletic Greens, but Zev does, and that's why he looks better than I do, and he's healthier. We're both facing the same stressful where all I do is consume comfort foods and increase my cholesterol, while Zev gets healthier and younger looking as the episodes go. And my friend Roger's wife actually used this and is an actual health coach and is actually healthier than both of us. And Zev says Athletic Greens tastes good, and so does my friend. And so athleticgreens.com, right?
No, athleticgreens.com/narrative, NARATIV.
/narrative. So we get a couple bucks, and we can
we don't get a
to
couple
bring
bucks.
just how many Israeli, Russian, Chinese spies are up in everything you use every day. This is not free, folks. And you didn't know, if you didn't come to Narrative, you need to go to athleticgreens.com/narrative, or you're not going to know which venture capitalists in Silicon Valley do stripteases for the ladies' night
and want to buy Twitter. AG1 is engineered to provide all the right nutrients at just the right time, I should also say. Whether you want increased energy or improved muscle recovery, they got it covered. And because they care about your wallet too, AG1 will only cost around $3 a day. And there are no hidden fees. To make it easy, Athletic Greens is going to give you a free 1-year supply of immune-supporting vitamin D and 5 free travel packs with your first purchase. All you have to do is visit athleticgreens.com/narrative. Again, that's athleticgreens.com/narrative to take ownership of your health and pick up the ultimate daily nutritional insurance. Bam. Okay, you did it. Yay.
And you'll feel healthy and energetic enough to do striptease at your next round of venture capital.
Yeah, the next time I invest in any company, I will give a striptease to the owners and whatever anyone else wants. I'll do a striptease. If I ever get to invest in a company in my life, I will do that.
And I want to give a quick shout out to Zev, because anyone who really covers real stuff like Zev is going to suffer slings and arrows, which he has, and no one else talks about this.
For good reason. No one wants those slings and arrows, and we get lots of them around here. But people have to be able to understand that because we're getting those slings and arrows because we're doing this coverage. I mean, it must be pretty obvious because we are the only people talking about this stuff, and comes to the territory. But people who believe that stuff, well, I don't know, they shouldn't believe it because it ain't true. On that note, I think it's time to say goodnight. Carrie, it's always great to have you on the show. I'm always blown away by your detail and firsthand knowledge of all of this stuff. It's kind of amazing. And I hope we'll get you back on soon, and we'll do more of this stuff because we still have episode 2 of Elon Musk to do on the Secret Life and so much more. Is there anything else you want to talk about? Is there anything else you want to share or promote or anything like that?
No, thank you.
All right.
I appreciate it.
See how honest she is. No, someone else would have it a book and a
I'm not writing a book. I just want people to understand, like, it's kind of messed up.
It's kind of messed up. He's right. Eric, do you want to talk about game theory and when the next podcast is?
I have. Look, I have a I have a one-man corporate bond burlesque show.
Amazing.
That I'm doing at the Diamond Cabaret in East St. Louis, Missouri, Illinois, at about 2 a.m. I go on. The first half hour is going to be municipal bonds, and the second half hour we do high yield junk bonds.
Oh yeah, and brought to you by Dogecoin.
And if you refinance, actually the one thing that the number of plans for Twitter that have gone by so fast kind of makes me think that these guys are all they're all just running around. They don't know what to do with a variety of things. Happening. But for a hot minute, before he got apparently the Bone Saw Mafia and the Binance, the Chinese money launderers and the Caymans, before that, they're like, we've got Apollo and Eris. And I fell off my chair because once upon a time I wrote about Guitar Center and I said, look, you know what's going to happen? Guitar Center is going to go bankrupt. I wrote an expose on Guitar Center's finances because they dared me to, which is a long story, but it ends up being very dirty and ends up involving Bain Capital and Eris management. And Eris and Apollo are sort of twin financial giants that are both related to Michael Milken and the old junk bond of yore in the 1980s. I'm blanking on. Anyways, Milken went to jail, and his two lieutenants were Junk Bond King and Drexel Burnham Lambert. Yeah. And his two lieutenants there were Leon Black, who we all know as Jared Kushner's pal and Jeffrey Epstein's financier. Yeah. And then Anthony Ressler, and Anthony Ressler has Eris Capital, which ended up being behind Guitar Center and all this sort of like takeover of the musical instrument industry that was very uncool, man. And I said, I bet like in 2017 as a joke, before I knew some of the other connections to Israeli intelligence and other things that had, I was like, you're going to see Guitar Center go bankrupt on the same day they throw handcuffs on Donald Trump. And then Elon Musk announces, I think I got this, I'm going to buy it. I think I've got Apollo and Eris, and I fell off my chair because I'm like, we're getting this close
we are getting
to a joint. If we can just arrest Donald Trump at a Guitar Center,
you got the home run.
I've hit the high score.
It was interesting as well. I should point out that when Elon Musk was going to sell Tesla to the Saudis, it was Epstein who introduced that deal, who made that deal become a reality. So you were just mentioning Epstein there and Leon Black, and it's just like,
Stop!
You could name any story and name 7 people involved in this thing, and they're always the same 7 people. So
it is.
It's always the same.
2 days after saying, I don't want anything, but you guys are not right.
Yeah, exactly. I'm going to leave it at that.
Are there more? Are there just 20? Sorry, we got to keep going. Are there only like 29 traders who have all the money and traffic all the cocaine and snort all the cocaine and traffic all the children?
Yes.
And own all the stocks of 3 companies?
Yes, that's basically what you have. I can name them all because I have a giant chart of them. I mean, it's just like, it's always the same people. You're like, oh, it's you again? Don't you give anyone else a chance to do anything? It's always the same guys. It's like, God, again? It's like
perfectly good mobsters out there who need a chance, kids.
Yeah. Let someone else break through a little bit here. I mean, otherwise, it's always like, it's repetitive, it's always the same story.
Yeah.
And then Elon Musk, and then on top of that, you've got, and we didn't cover it today, but this guy who was the British Virgin Islands premier, who was busted for trafficking, this guy here, he was busted
and then they let him go.
So it's hundreds of millions of dollars worth of cocaine or something. This guy, the premier, the leader of this country, of the British Virgin Isles, was arrested in Miami a few weeks ago. We're talking about this, and what happened to him? What happened to him, Eric?
A federal judge in the Southern District of Florida let him go. The government recommended he be remanded.
Yeah,
and that leads me to kind of two scenarios there. Either he's one of ours, or maybe the judge isn't.
Yeah, I think it's really weird. I think it's really weird that they would have arrested this guy who's a premier, because he can't be one of ours. They would have checked that, maybe. But
and he thought he was dealing with a member of the Sinaloa who was going to hook him up with Hezbollah.
Yeah, right. So definitely not one of us. It's and also the Queen just announced right after that she was going to take over direct control of the British Virgin Islands because of maladministration on whatever that may mean. It's drug dealing, it's drug smuggling, it's not maladministration. It's not just a problem with the filing.
Bless her heart, she's so dear. She can't say the word drug.
Yeah, she can profit off it, but not the other way around. Yeah. So and then it just reminded me that the last time someone got off for a major human trafficking kind of crime was Jeffrey Epstein in Florida. Remember that? Because he also got a sweetheart deal because the royal family intervened in that. Just saying.
Yeah.
On that note, this has been the naughtiest show we've done.
This is not our fault, folks. This is the world is making narrative episodes take 5 hours at a time because it's that stupid.
I didn't even get to half the show today. I mean, I really had some really good stuff about Anthony Kennedy's son and the link to Deutsche Bank and the corruption of the Supreme Court that's basically now taking away our rights and he's going to criminalize women having children. I mean, this is where we're at.
Periods are outlawed.
Yeah. You got to go to jail if you have kids. That's because we're a family-centric party and we care about the family. So we're going to arrest you all for having kids. I mean, it's the level of insanity that we've now approached in this world has gone. We've lost the plot. And I do think that there is some symmetry between what's going on with Donald Trump, but also between Elon Musk and his attempt to suppress free speech by buying Twitter, which is a major free speech vehicle. It really is. And he is going to suppress free speech, one of our key freedoms in America, by purchasing Twitter. And then on the other hand, you've got these activist Supreme Court judges who think it's okay to strip away abortion and reproductive rights, reverse Roe v. Wade, and take away every other predicate for privacy that we've ever had, including, privacy to sleep with whoever we want to, or live with whoever we want to, or live where we want to, or how we love to, all these things. They want to take away all of those rights because they don't think they're guaranteed to us, at the same time that Mr. Musk and his friends are trying to take freedom of speech away from us because of Twitter. It is a confluence of events which makes me think that this is not just happening coincidentally, then maybe these masters of the universe, enemies of democracy, whoever they are actually trying to take over democracy and trying to destroy it piece by piece by piece, which is exactly what I think is happening right now. And we are all sitting around completely bewildered because, I don't know, whatever Fox News is on or MSNBC is on and telling us a version of events, but we're not seeing the big picture. The big picture is the enemies of democracy are coming for your rights, and they're doing it right now in real time, and they're fully operational. This is no longer speculative or they're planning. Mm-hmm. They are in the field. They are operating right now to take away your freedom of speech, your freedom of reproduction, freedom of women's rights, and they're going to work on LGBT marriage next and everything else that they can find along the way. This is a major 5-alarm fire in America right now. And I don't know if people are paying attention to it, but they should. So there you go. On that note, are you ready to say goodbye?
Have a great weekend.
Have a great weekend, everybody. We'll see you next time. See you next on Tuesday. Big show on Tuesday. Make sure you're here. Bye-bye. Narrative is made possible by viewers like you. Join today and support truly independent journalism at patreon.com/narrative. That's patreon.com/narrative.
made possible by viewers like you. You too can support our independent journalism by going to www.patreon.com/narrative.